Good Friday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top news stories, let's take a quick look outside that weather window. And boy, summer's here and it felt like it finally today after we have seen a pretty cool spring and early summer. It was summertime today and a beautiful look down at the Wenatchee Valley. And of course, there in the middle of your screen, the Wenatchee Heights and our cross camera, also down that way. One of my favorite places around north central Washington, and that's Three Lakes Golf Course. And what a great day for that with lots of sunshine, clear sky. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow, kicking off our weekend, it's definitely going to feel like summertime. Wenatchee's high temperature 93, 95 to 96 in Moses Lake. Scorching hot as well as you'd expect down in the Tri-Cities, even over in Spokane. That 91 degrees for Spokane would be the first time this year that Spokane has reached 90 degrees. So we'll talk more weather coming up a little bit later on. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. The accused gunman in Monday's drive-by shooting in a central Washington neighborhood is now charged with first-degree assault. The Omak man who made online death threats against Washington sheriffs was back before a judge on Wednesday, where prosecutors argued he should be jailed again. Dr. Jason Lake takes over at the end of August as Confluence Health Chief Medical Officer, replacing Dr. Stu Freed. Meanwhile, the steady drumbeat of COVID-19 marches on, and Grant County reported its 7th death from COVID-19 on Thursday, a Moses Lake man in his 70s. But first we begin tonight. A decomposed human body was found Wednesday night on the banks of the Okanagan River south of Tonasket. The Okanagan County Sheriff said at 8:16 p.m., they received a report that someone had found the body near the intersection of Indian Springs Road and Highway 7. That's about 3 miles south of Tonasket. The body had apparently been in the water and became visible as the water receded. Because of exposure to water and the state of decomposition, deputies have not yet identified the person, the sheriff's office said. The Okanagan County Coroner's Office is working to help determine the cause of death and identify that person. Well, the accused gunman in Monday's drive-by shooting in a central Wenatchee neighborhood is now charged with first-degree assault. Police say 20-year-old Alexander Lopez of Yakima admitting fired several shots from a rifle at another moving vehicle and wounding a passenger in the area of Douglas and Idaho streets. Prosecutors charged him Thursday with 2 counts of assault plus 1 charge of drive-by shooting. The alleged driver of the Ford Explorer he was riding in, Juan Mendoza Rodriguez, faces identical charges. Both remain jailed on $1 million bond. They're due to be arraigned on July 20th. The wounded victim, meanwhile, a 26-year-old Wenatchee man, was shot in the leg but released from Central Washington Hospital the same day. Well, the Omak man who made online death threats against Washington sheriffs was back before a judge on Wednesday, where prosecutors argued he should be jailed again until his sentencing. 24-year-old Jaden Ledford pleaded guilty in February to threatening Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich and others over their opposition to Washington gun law I-1639. He's supposed to be sentenced in September, but last month he was arrested after a domestic violence incident, and federal prosecutors said that violates his condition of release. U.S. Magistrate Judge John Rogers ordered Ledford held in the Spokane County Jail for 2 days. He's due to be released today into the custody of his social worker. It's Ledford's second reported violation. Back in November, he used a smartphone to access the internet against a judge's orders. He's likely to be sentenced to 5 years of federal probation. Well, Dr. Jason Lake takes over at the end of August as Confluence Health Chief Medical Officer, replacing Dr. Stu Freed. Meanwhile, the steady drumbeat of COVID-19 marches on. Central Washington Hospital cared for 19 patients on Wednesday who were suffering from the pandemic virus. By Thursday, that number was 18. But Dr. Lake says the surge in infections is exactly what Confluence Health feared when the pandemic began back in March, and they hoped it wouldn't show until later in the fall.
What we've noticed over the past several weeks is a steady increase in the number of COVID patients that we've seen, and we've noticed that really both on the outpatient world and in the inpatient world. We run our drive-through testing site down at the Emerson Street station, and when we were at a lull in COVID activity, the percentage of those tests that returned positive was about 2% or so, and we've seen a steady increase up to about 10% and sometimes as high as 15 or 16% positive results on a daily basis. So we're really seeing an increase in the percentage of positive tests that we've seen on the outpatient side of things. Unfortunately, we've also seen a similar increase in the number of COVID patients that we're taking care of in the hospital. And predominantly, these are patients from our primary 4-county area, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan counties. And as of yesterday, we had 19 patients in the hospital, but 7 of those patients were requiring care in the intensive care unit, and 4 of those patients were on ventilators. So it's obviously requiring a lot of hospital resources, again, as the number of COVID patients we're taking care of in the hospital is increasing. So it's a concerning trend that we're seeing a rise in COVID cases throughout our region, and it's becoming increasingly taxing on our healthcare system as well. I think if things continue on the trajectory that they are now, it's very likely that we're going to have to reduce some of the procedural or surgical services that we provide. My hope, and the hope of everyone here, is that we don't have to decrease it to the point that we did in March and April, but we probably will have to decrease it to some extent. You know, we do have a limited number of staffing and resources, and the fact of the matter is, if the number of COVID patients we have require more of those staff and resources to care for them, it just leaves less to care for other people. And as much as we don't want to decrease routine or elective care, we may well have to do that if this trend continues. We have our kind of contingency plan right now capable of going up to an ICU capacity of about 25. So 25 people potentially requiring ventilator support. So it would be, quite frankly, a challenge to staff all of those 25 beds. So if we ever got to a level that required that, we would have to significantly draw down some of the other services that we provide. We hope we don't get there, but that's kind of our maximum number that we plan on. I think it's important to remember what we can all do to try to prevent this spread of this virus. It's very easy for us to let our guard down as the community starts opening up again, but I think it's really important not to let our guard down right now. We have to continue being vigilant about wearing masks, wearing a mask. If I have COVID and don't know it because I don't really have symptoms, the likelihood that I pass that virus to someone else probably decreases by about 90% if I'm wearing a mask. Conversely, if I'm wearing a mask and someone else is sick around me, it probably decreases my chance of catching it about 20%. So I think we have enough data, clear data at this point to say masking helps. So I think having everyone in the community continue to be vigilant about masking is really important. I think social distancing is also very important, and we should continue to do that.
In other news, Grant County reported its 7th death from COVID-19 Thursday, a Moses Lake man in his 70s. The regional spike in cases continues, with Grant County reporting 28 new positive tests. Chelan County reported 23 new cases today, and Douglas County 17 more. Chelan and Douglas counties have had a total of 9 people die from the virus, but the last death was back on May 13th. Coming up next, a pair of kayakers had to be rescued Wednesday after being stranded in the middle of the Wenatchee River near Leavenworth. An ordinance that would have exempted churches from Wenatchee's noise restrictions is off the table, at least through the summer. An alternate route to relieve North Wenatchee traffic has failed for a 3rd time to attract the federal funding it needs. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
You want to help others. You need a solid career. You can have both with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, stop by our campus at 595 Grant Road across from Safeway or visit chartercollege.edu.
Hi, this is Brian Snyder with BlackRock Asphalt Services here in Wenatchee, your local BlackRock Seal Coat company. Have you looked at your driveway or parking lot lately? Is it gray and oxidized? Does it have cracks that have not been taken care of? Or do you have striping that is pretty much non-existent? Please give us a call locally here, 509-665-9769. Learn more at blackrockasphaltsealcoating.com.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Welcome back. In other news, a pair of kayakers had to be rescued Wednesday after being stranded in the middle of the Wenatchee River near Leavenworth. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office Swift Water Rescue Team said the kayakers were on a boulder in the middle of the river and had to be taken by raft to safety. Chelan County Fire District 3 and Cascade Ambulance also responded. Well, an ordinance that would have exempted churches from Wenatchee noise restrictions is off the table, at least through the summer. It's the second time a church-based exemption failed to pass after the city put interim noise controls in place last year. Grace City Church in Lower Sunny Slope has led the drive for that exemption. Now the council will have to consider whether to put a new noise ordinance in place once its current interim controls lapse on August 28th.
So the way our current code is written, a school event or an event on public property would be accepted from our noise ordinance. And so we ran into a potential conflict with religious organizations holding events that would have amplified sound outdoors. And so that raises the issue of whether our noise ordinance would violate the federal law, the Religious Land Use and Institutional Persons Act. So the ordinance that we are proposing redefines the exceptions so that it would be rather than a regularly scheduled community event, defined as being an event by a governmental agency or public school district on public property. Now we've opened it up, or would open it up, to include public gatherings that any member of the public may attend. That's a difficult standard or difficult definition, and whether we limited it enough, I mean, that's up to the legislative body to determine.
If we don't pass it, we still have a noise ordinance that's in effect, and we can remand it back to the Planning Commission at some point to continue to work on a different noise ordinance. But I think, in my opinion, it's time for the moratorium to lapse, and we need to sort of, if that's what's going to happen, I think, in my opinion, I think we're done with moratoriums. We either adopt this or something similar to this, or we just go back to the way it was prior, before we dealt with this when we were dealing with what we thought was going to be a wedding venue or a concert venue at one point in time, which sort of brought all of this to the forefront. It was over an issue that we thought was going to be a noise issue at some point.
You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
AC Checker has new owners who put customer service first. When you have to get there on time, call fast, friendly, reliable AC Checker, 663-TAXI. AC Checker has the industry's only on-time or it's free guarantee. Conditions apply. Call AC Checker, 663-TAXI to schedule your cab or schedule online at acchecker.com. Call American Classic Taxi, 663-TAXI. That's 663-8294.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Merry Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Merry Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today, 509-663-1710.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. The largest population of a rare and endangered flower called the checkered mallow is found in Camas Meadows off Blewett Pass. In tonight's features story, the State Department of Natural Resources explains how its crews are monitoring and protecting the flowers.
Hi, I'm Allison Morrow with your DNR report. The Wenatchee Mountains checker mallow is an endangered plant with a purple flower that only exists in a handful of spots around the world. Its largest population is here at Camas Meadows off Blewett Pass.
They're a little behind this year for whatever reason, but there's one in bud, so that will flower, next week.
This team is tracking the health of the checker mallow by counting each plant in order to monitor any changes over time.
Putting the flags out where each plant is located. And the reason we do that is because we found if we use just like clickers or something, walk in a row, it's easy to miss one, or did we get that one? So the count is actually more accurate if we put the flags in, mapping out the polygon. So that's very helpful when we come back, and it's kind of a way to monitor the population. We can come back to this exact polygon again in say 5 years and see if it's still present.
The checker mallow has some unique and distinctive features that make it easy for scientists to spot it.
This is what it looks like when it's not sending up a flowering stem. It's got this little half circle shaped leaf with a little bit of lobes on it. And then at the very top here is what you see when it starts to flower. And these two different leaf shapes really help us determine whether the plant is flowering or not when we're doing these surveys.
The work here has been ongoing for more than 20 years. It helps scientists and policymakers as they prepare recovery plans for the plant.
Very dependent on seasonally wet areas, so any changes in hydrology, also encroachment, it doesn't like shade a lot, so encroachment of like pines into these meadows or other shrub into the meadows if there hasn't been any cutting or any fire. It's very fire dependent, and some of these systems haven't burned in a while, so we do regular restoration here as well. We do thinning of some of the trees and the shrubs. We do prescribed fire.
If you'd like to learn more about the Wenatchee Mountains checker mallow, visit dnr.wa.gov/Camas Meadows.
Time now for a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast. And before we get to all of those details heading into the upcoming weekend, let's take a look outside our weather window. And what a beautiful shot looking down at the Wenatchee Valley. Of course, Three Lakes Golf Course over that direction. Here we go with Wenatchee Heights here. That's where our cross camera is. We use that camera quite often here for our weather window. And it was a beautiful day this afternoon. Just a sliver of snow still atop the Cascades and the higher elevations. But I'll tell you what, with today's temperature and tomorrow's temperature coming our way, a lot of that's going to go away. High temperature today unofficially in the Wenatchee area. Look at that, right where we should be for July 10th at 86 degrees. 57 was this morning's low. 61 now is our normal low temperature. 101 record high temperature, and for the second day in a row, that was in 1975. Record low 49 in 1972. 2.66 inches since January 1st, and that is now 1.7 7 inches below where we should be for moisture. It is tinder dry out there, and with wind and low humidity in the forecast and hot temperatures, boy, be extra careful if you're outside this weekend. Sunrise this morning 5:15, and the sun will set tonight just before 9 o'clock at 8:57. Let's take a look at how that Saturday weather is going to shape up. One thing will really jump out at you, and that's a lot of hot temperatures around north central Washington for Saturday. Moses Lake 96, 95 in Ephrata, 94 in Quincy. Wenatchee, we will see around 93 degrees for a high tomorrow. Even Leavenworth 90 degrees for a high tomorrow, at Lake Wenatchee 87, and all the way up into Omak still warm with 93s from Entiat all the way into Okanagan County. As we take a look at tonight, we'll show you how we're going to get there, and it's all because of a large area of high pressure in the desert southwest, and it's bringing all of that desert warm air into Washington state. That's what's keeping us clear. Tonight we will see that, light winds as well, and then those temperatures will get cooking for Saturday. 118 down in Phoenix for tomorrow. We will see hot weather all across north central and eastern Washington. Winds then will then pick up around 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, and we're looking at winds in the green areas of about 20 to 25 miles an hour and gusty. More of that on Sunday too. I don't think quite as bad as Saturday, but they're still going to be out there 10 to 15 miles an hour. And much cooler as our flow now comes down from the northwest, dragging down some Yukon air, and that'll cool us down as we get into Sunday afternoon. It won't last long though, because Monday we're back to the sunshine. Mostly sunny skies. You can see that ridge back up and over us, and that'll bring warmer weather with highs on Monday in the lower 80s, maybe mid 80s on Monday. And then we will definitely be in the mid 80s on Tuesday with lots of sunshine. Still just scorching hot in the desert southwest, and that's still pumping up our way, and we'll continue with that warm up as we get into Wednesday as well, with lots of sunshine. A few clouds into western Washington. There is an area of low pressure right here that's spinning around, and that'll bring those clouds into the western part of the state. But boy, it's going to be nice here in north central Washington with lots of sunshine on Wednesday with highs in the mid 80s. And as we get to Thursday, mostly sunny. That area of low pressure creeps a little bit closer to Washington. It won't affect us, but it could bring some shower activity into the western part of the state as we get late in the day on Wednesday, or Thursday rather, and into Thursday night. And it looks like now past Thursday into Friday, maybe Saturday, some much needed rain could be headed our way, but we'll wait till Monday to talk about that. Let's go to our Patriot Plumbing, Heating and Cooling 7-day forecast tonight. Very nice. It's 62 degrees, 93 scorching degrees for Saturday, and then a big cool down on Sunday down to 81, 84 on Monday, and we'll be back into the upper 80s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Dan Kuntz and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Introducing the most capable Sierra lineup ever.
Don't worry, all the fun is around the corner. There's no better time to get ready than now with Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa sale. Stock Up and Save sale is now going on in-store and online at BlueLagoonPoolandSpa.com. Even pool heaters are on sale. Financing available upon approval. Credit 24-month, no interest with equal payments. Stop by today or order online at BlueLagoonPoolandSpa.com. Free water testing available in-store or curbside. Don't wait. The sale is going on now.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
Happy Friday, sports fans. Dan Kuntz once again filling in for sports director Eric Granstrom, who'll be back on Monday. I've missed you, Eric. You work harder at sports than you need to. Let's take a look at what's happening. The Northwest Athletic Conference, that's the Association of Junior Colleges in Washington, Idaho, Oregon, and British Columbia. They announced Thursday they're going to push most fall and winter sports to the spring semester because of the coronavirus pandemic, and the revised schedules will be reduced to eliminate lengthy road trips. Now, 36 member schools comprise the NWAC, and that includes, Wenatchee Valley College. So the announcement means that the 2 fall sports fielded by Wenatchee Valley College, that's men and women's soccer, that'll begin on February 3rd.
instead of mid-August and will conclude in early June, while men's and women's basketball will begin January 16th with championships slated for the middle of May. And there's no word on when the two spring sports, which is baseball and softball, will begin or end. One member school of the NWAC, Yakima Valley College, already announced last week that it was canceling its fall sports schedule. Speaking of cancellations, the Big Ten announced yesterday that fall sports teams, and this includes football, will play only conference opponents. The Big Ten is the first of the Power 5 conferences to make that announcement. Of course, they have to adjust the college football season because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Ivy League already announced Wednesday that it'll not be holding sports during the fall semester. They became the first Division I conference to suspend its football season this year. The Big Ten said in a statement that the conference is, and I'm quoting now, also prepared not to play in order to ensure the health, safety, and wellness of our student athletes should the circumstances so dictate. Now, the Big Ten's decision also affects men's and women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's and women's cross country, and field hockey. Decisions about other sports have yet to be evaluated. Big Ten football programs, just like the Pac-12, play 9 conference and 3 non-conference opponents. So the ramifications of this decision is going to stretch across the college football landscape. Other conferences could follow suit. There's rumors that the Pac-12 may do the same thing. If the other schools previously planning to take on Big Ten opponents are going to have to figure out what to do now. Some Big Ten programs were scheduled to face fellow Power 5 schools during their non-conference slate. So we're going to have some really good football games this fall that aren't going to be played, including Michigan at Washington on September 5th, Ohio State at Oregon, and Penn State at Virginia Tech, scheduled for September 12th, will not be played. And Notre Dame against Wisconsin, which is supposed to be played at Lambeau Field in Green Bay in early October. That will also not be played. The NFL has banned jersey exchanges for the upcoming year as the league attempts to play through the coronavirus pandemic. A set of protocols were obtained by ESPN. All post-game interactions less than 6 feet of separation are also prohibited. In fact, there's other highlights of the new policy. Coaches and players who aren't likely to appear in the game are strongly encouraged, but not required, to wear masks on the sidelines. Players and coaches must submit to multiple temperature checks before games, and they can't participate if they have a fever of more than 100 degrees. Every effort has to be made to space lockers 6 feet apart in both home and visitors' locker rooms. Plexiglass partitions are also an option. Players are required to spend the night before the game at the team hotel, even if they are playing at home. These policies take effect for both the preseason and the regular season games. Now, of course, the NFL is planning to have 2 preseason games before the regular season starts. The Players Association, they don't want any preseason games before the regular season starts. And once again, a friendly reminder, our cameras will be at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval tomorrow night.
Green flag in the air. We're racing for the Dixie and Air Conditioning Thunder Cars on Dixie and Air Conditioning night.
35-lap main event for the Thunder Cars here this evening.
A little bit of a bump already out of Cameron Doyle in the 71 to the back of Carl Brandt. A couple former Roadrunner drivers in the field.
It's a full card of racing at the WVSO tomorrow night. Our cameras will be there. We'll have it for you live. The Thunder Cars, the Pro Late Models will be racing. It's North Valley Mechanical Night, by the way. They'll be joined by the Mountain Dew Junior Late Models, the Plum Perfect Roadrunners, the Northwest Vintage Modifieds, and the Dorf Cars. And once again this weekend, no fans allowed in the grandstand. So if you want to watch local racers drive fast and turn left, you got one place to do it, and that's right here on the NCWLIFE channel. Our broadcast will begin at 6 o'clock. We'll also be streaming it on our website at ncwlife.com and on our Facebook page. Have a great weekend. Grant, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.